Sorry about that. Well, when I did the audio video and on on Vince McMahon maybe be retired, hired and everything, but the worst, and then asked the question of, but the worst yet to come. Yeah, I think I may have been right on the second part of that title of, but the worst, by asking the question, but the worst yet to come, or may to come, or basically, but the worst may yet to come. I think I may have been on the nose, maybe a little too much on that part, because like I said, in the audio video, there were reports of more things coming out, potentially that could be even worse, and this could potentially lead to other things that he's wanted to keep secret for a while coming to the surface in the near future. But this one was a big one, to say the least, because apparently the company, the board during the investigation uncovered the fact that there were $14.6 million, almost 15 million, if you want to round it up, that were reported to be unreported, uncredited, if you will. And from what I understand, this is money that Vince had previously posed as being his money that he had paid out to all these women throughout the years through the NDAs to keep him quiet about his misconduct, his sexual misconduct towards them. And this includes people like John Laurinaitis as well. Well, apparently that's not true, because according to the reports, that 14.6 million was not Vince's money at all. It was company's money. It was the WWE's money, and he used it to basically keep these women quiet about his sexual misconduct. Have them sign those NDAs, and basically posed it off as being his money. And back probably when he made this happen, even a few years ago, he probably didn't realize the board was going to investigate him or look into any of this kind of stuff, which again raises that question of who's the one that leaked the information or did some digging and found out some information they thought couldn't be real, but it is. You have to wonder. But yeah, Vince apparently, let's face it, embezzled $14.6 million. Let me make sure I get that right. Embezzled $16 billion. Yeah. This is Market Watch right here. It says WWE finds $14.6 million in unrecorded expenses made by Vince McMahon. And then CNBC reported 2 hours ago that WWE at crossroads as Vince McMahon's retirement and scandals heighten sales speculation. And that's always been something that people are wondering about. Will WWE sell? But who will they sell for? So this is from CNBC. They say World Wrestling Entertainment's annual report for 2021 lists a risk factor specifically about the consequences of Vince McMahon's retirement, an event that happened last week. They say, and I quote, this is what WWE wrote in a corporate filing dating back New Year's Eve of last year. They said the unexpected loss of the services of Vincent Kennedy McMahon could adversely affect our ability to create popular characters and creative storylines, or could otherwise adversely affect our operating results. That was back, corporate filing, like I said, on New Year's Eve. The loss of Mr. McMahon due to unexpected retirement, disability, death, or other unexpected termination for any reason could have a material adverse effect on our ability to create popular characters and creative storylines, or could otherwise adversely affect our operating results. Again, same thing. That sounds bad for WWE shareholders, and I wish CNBC wouldn't put a freaking advertisement up there. It says that sounds. Now that was WWE, quote. That was me quoting WWE, in the corporate filing. But it continues on to say, and this being the article from CNBC, that sounds bad for WWE shareholders. So what happened to WWE shares when McMahon announced his unexpected retirement after the bell Friday? They shot higher, rising more than 8% Monday. The spike was driven by heightened investment. The spike was driven by heightened investor sentiment that a sale is coming. Newly appointed co-CEO Nick Khan openly discussed the concept of selling already this year, months before McMahon stepped down amid a Wall Street Journal investigation that revealed payouts to women who claimed sexual misconduct and infidelity. The WWE has since confirmed $14.6 million in previously unrecorded expenses paid personally by Mr. McMahon. As we say, and this is Nick Khan, as we say, we're open for business, Nick Khan said in March on the Ringer's The Town podcast. Now, it says potential buyers. The timing of a deal could hinge on the WWE's upcoming TV rights renewal, loosely scheduled for mid-2023. Okay, let me reread that. Potential buyers. The timing of a deal could hinge on WWE's upcoming U.S. TV rights renewal, loosely scheduled for mid-2023. An acquirer may decide it makes more sense to an acquirer may decide it makes more sense to buy the company than strike a temporary rights deal. Fox owns the rights to SmackDown and NBC owns the rights to Raw, the two WWE TV properties. The deals both end in the fourth quarter of 2024. Speaking to The Town, Nick Khan singled out Comcast NBC's Universal as a potential buyer. NBC's Universal Peacock currently owns the exclusive streaming rights for WWE, the live streaming rights and all that stuff, the WWE network, as far as the U.S. is concerned. This is what Nick Khan says. If you look at what does NBCU/Comcast lack that they need, I think it's a factual statement. They don't have the intellectual property, the IP, that some other companies have. They certainly don't have the Disney treasure trove of IP, nor should they. I think they look at us as an entity that has a treasure trove of IP, intellectual property. A lot of it has not been exploited yet. Now it's up to us to monetize it properly and show the community exactly what we have. Basically, it talks about that global media companies are on the hunt for IP that they can use for reoccurring TV series and films, basically, and that WWE has that. They do make a comparison to the NFL, where it nearly doubled its potential TV revenue in most of its recent rights renewals deal last year. And I'll provide a link to this in the description. It says basically WWE has consistently grown annually revenue throughout the last decade on the strength of its media deals and live events. It announced Monday second quarter revenue is currently expected at $328 million for the quarter, up 23% from a year ago, with operating income of $70 million, a 52% increase from a year earlier. So yeah. They talk about that as well. Of course, this being CNBC. And they do list off potential buyers. Comcast, Disney, Warner Bros. Discovery, Paramount Global, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, all make sense in inquiry. All make sense in inquirer, given. Let me read that. Something just popped up here. I do apologize. It was a breaking news they just had. It says Comcast, Disney, Warner Bros. Discovery, Paramount Global, Apple, Amazon, Netflix all make sense and acquire, given their streaming ambitions. MKM Partners analyst Eric Handel wrote in a note to clients, a WWE spokesman declined to comment. So so Eric Handel, the MKA Partners Analysis, basically said that it makes sense, and from an inquiry standpoint, for Warner's, Paramount, Apple, and Amazon, Netflix to possibly get their hands, and let me just check something here for a second, guys. Get their hands on the WWE property, and I'm sorry if my finger hit the mic there, I do apologize. But to get the WWE property. Now they do ask if they are jumping the gun. Now here's what's interesting. Jumping the gun, that's the headline of the next part, the third and final part of the article. They said, jumping the gun, and this is what the article states, and I quote, "It's also possible that new executive leadership, Khan, co-CEO, and McMahon and his daughter Stephanie McMahon, who's also, Stephanie's husband Triple H, will see this as a time to reform WWE." Well, okay, let me read that. It says, jumping the gun. It's also possible that the new executive leadership of Khan, co-CEO, and McMahon's daughter Stephanie McMahon, Stephanie's husband Paul Triple H Levesque, will see this as a time to reform WWE. Well, it's strange critically to think that Vince McMahon, still the biggest shareholder in WWE, won't be involved in the company's major decisions. Levesque, who took over creative control from McMahon, may have an opportunity to fashion storylines and introduce new talent. McMahon, who turned 77 in August, no longer has any executive title at the company. McMahon may also view selling now as moving out of weakness. Let me read that. It says, McMahon may also view selling now as moving out of weakness, which he may see as identical to his public persona as someone who is always in charge. And this is what Jason Bazent of Citi, like Citibank, who's an analysis of them, said in a note to clients. He says, "We suspect the Street, that being the Wall Street Journal, will interpret Mr. McMahon's retirement as a precursor to an eventual sale of WWE. We're not sure that this is a reasonable conclusion, since WWE will still be a controlled company with 100% of the Class B shares held by the McMahon family." So basically they're stating that, as far as like a sale goes for WWE, to somebody else, that's not really in the cards. But what's interesting though about that article again, is the report of the unrecorded $14.6 million. Yeah, the $14.6 million. This is from MarketWatch right here. It says WWE finds $14.6 million in unrecorded expenses made by Vince McMahon. Financial statements to be restated, but stock surges to pre-pandemic levels after upbeat revenue outlook and increasing speculation of a sale. And this is what they say, and I quote, "World Wrestling Entertainment Incorporated disclosed Monday that it will reinstate financial statements back to 2019 after uncovering $14.6 million in unrecorded expenses paid out by former longtime chief executive Vince McMahon. The disclosure comes after the media and entertainment company announced late Friday that McMahon was retiring. The company said it was currently conducting an investigation into alleged misconduct by McMahon amid reports of an affair with a co-worker that he paid millions to cover up. It says WWE said it will restate the results of the years 2019, 2020, and 2021 in the first quarter of 2022 to reflect the unrecorded expenses. The company said all of the unrecorded expenses were or will be paid by McMahon personally. Given the need to reinstate results, WWE concluded that internal controls over financial reporting was not affected as a result of one or more material weaknesses. The company has also received and may receive in the future regulatory, investigative, and enforcement inquiries, subpoenas, or demands arising from, related to, or in connection with these matters. The company said in an 8K filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The company said the reinstated results will be issued when the company reports second quarter results, which are currently expected to be released on August 9th. It says, in the meantime, the company provided a preliminary update of certain financial results for the second quarter that included an inspection of for revenue of $328 million, up 23.3% from the same period a year ago, and above the FactSet consensus of $311.9 million. Operating income before depreciation and amortization, OIBDA, is expected to be $92 million, which is above the previously provided guidance range of $80 million to $90 million. WWE announced that it appointed Stephanie McMahon, who is Vince's daughter, and Nick as co-CEOs. WWE's stock leaped 8.4% to 71.81, the highest close since September 20th, 2019. And the MKM Partners analysis, Eric Kandel, retaliated the buying rate he's had on WWE shares for at least the past 2 years, while boasting his price target from $79 to $79 from $70. He said that while McMahon's retirement marks a major event in WWE's history, we do not expect any consequential disruptions to the business, given the capabilities and experience of those who are now running the business. If anything, speculation of a potential sale of WWE now increases. In our view, there would be no shortage of suitors. That's Eric Kandel that said that in a note to clients. He said meaningfully growth potential from upcoming domestic TV rights negotiations for WWE's Raw and SmackDown provided additional fundamental support for the stock. He says WWE's shares have shot up 45.5% year to date, while the S&P 500 index (SPX) negative 1.15% has dropped 16.8%. I know there's a lot of terminology to talk about, but basically what it is here is what it sounded like here as I check the time. What it sounded like here is Vince McMahon. Yeah, he's probably not going to be able to, if he even considers, trying to get back into power, it's not going to happen because of what is being uncovered here. Now, could there be more that's uncovered over time? Absolutely. And if there is more uncovered over time, like I said, any thought he might have in his mind of, okay, I'm going to wait till the coast is clear, everything calms down, then I'm going to jump back into power, he might as well axe that idea. He might as well, throw that idea in the garbage can right now, because it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen whatsoever. And I would just, if I'm Vince, I would look at the silver lining of, hey, for right now, because this also could get taken away eventually, if any more is found out, I still hold a majority of the shareholding in the company, which I have a majority, which gives me a majority of voting, power, majority of the voting power. I would look at that as a silver lining, if you will. I would look at that as a silver lining of, hey, I may not be in the position I used to be, and now my daughter and my son-in-law and this Nick Khan guy are in those positions, but at least I might have a little bit of stroke here and there, just not as much as I used to. I'd just be satisfied with that if I'm Vince McMahon, knowing that if anything else comes out, there is no way I'm going to be allowed to make a comeback, make a return. And that's about it. And again, he's also got to keep an eye on those shareholders too, because he could lose that as well if anything more comes out. But yeah, if Vince thinks of, if anybody still is concerned about this being a ruse, this being something that's just temporary, I think this is going to lift your spirits if you're any form of talent or talent that doesn't want to come back until things are in the clear, if you know what I mean. I think this might be more of a positive, direction for you. But what do you guys think?